This video is sponsored by Whaling Games.
Now, as hobbyists, sometimes and more often than not, when we're playing games at a friend's house or a gaming club, which means we've got to pack up our scenery and all our armies
and then cart them across the lands. Now, as a motorcyclist, this can be particularly challenging, especially if your friend doesn't have that chosen game system and any scenery at home. So how am I going to get all that stuff on my motorcycle? Well, granted, out there's plenty of gaming clubs that will supply scenery and have it on hand. But what about those times when they don't? Well, fear not, I'm going to teach you the secrets of travel and battle, not to be confused by the small-scale gaming system devised by the Perry twins. Now, the first thing I'm going to need here is our chosen scenery. I've picked the Frontierer set. This is like kill team orientated, so I can play kill team games. And the key ingredient for any of this is going to be a really useful box. I've picked a 9-litre one, but an XL 9-litre. Now, the 9 litre is like A4 size, it's quite deep, but the XL gives you more sort of room for manoeuvre with that deeper lid. So they're the things we're going to be mainly using here with the scenery, get them all built. So the first thing I'm going to do is crack on, get them built, and I'm going to build them slightly different.
Got the walls clipped out, I've got the hamlock clipped out. You can see here I've got one pre-built, made it, so it's quite modular. I've glued that as a solid thing so I can place it on top. It means you can get inside of it as well. What I'm not going to do is glue the sides on, because I believe it's the Dave Andrews or the Ray Dranfield. They've made it so you can just clip them together without gluing, and because the fittings are hidden by lots of like buttresses and stuff like that, once they're clipped in, they're actually quite firm. And down the line, if I want to add more stuff to the actual travel set, I can just break them down and have them as loose little flat walls that I can assemble when I'm on the go. So I've got 2 hab blocks. The other thing I'm going to do is you do get these wall connectors, which I'll glue one on in a moment or two. You get these little wall connectors. The idea is when you're playing the game, you kind of place them on the side, they fit in, and you can like position your walls, but they have a habit of falling off. I've glued 4 on this one already, so I think I might just glue the rest on this one, and then I got more choice, and then that can just be an outbuilding or something, or goes on the landing pad. But yeah, look at that. Easy and robust. Everything's built. Before I go mad and start painting everything, I just want to make sure everything fits in nicely. So I've got my 9-litre XL box, very useful one. Obviously the important bit is the deeper lid. So I'm just going to place that down there. Everything fits in nicely. There's still room to put more. But let's say you want to add some more scenery later on, you think, oh, there's a really cool piece I want to add to it. Well, the great thing is, by not gluing those hab blocks, what you can do is break them apart and flat pack them inside of it. So there we go. Let's get this block painted up.
Lads, it's not looking good. We're surrounded on all sides and have nothing but a handful of crates to hide behind. I think we're done for. Fear not, chaps! Whaling Games is the UK and Europe's largest online retailer of war games and hobby products, with up to 20% off most ranges. Wayland also offers loyalty points on every product, which can be used to save money off future purchases. That's great, sir, but that's not really going to help in our current situation. With delivery duty paid shipping available for EU customers, Wayland Games aim to give their customers a seamless experience from order to delivery. This isn't helping, sir. Patience, Sergeant. Yay! Awesome! We got him, if you are looking for a discount on any of your hobby supplies, Whaling Game has a wide range of paints, brushes, hobby tools, and much more. The added bonus of free UK shipping on orders over £20 and full refunds within 60 days keeps orders stress and hassle-free. That's not fair. I should have stayed loyal, sir.
With everything built and tested, it's time to paint. So we're going to start first with our undercoat, and I spray this with a military green and dust over with a grey. So Death Guard green, or whatever you've got, like an olive drab. And then I'm going to dust over the top of that with Mechanica Standard Grey. Next up, I'm going to heavily dry brush all over the terrain with a light grey or a bone tone. Here I'm going to use Vampire Flesh. Then we're going to pick out any red details in burnt red, such as the fuel tanks and maybe the doors. Pick out some metallics if needed, with a little dry brush of oily steel. This is over the grey, so it looks like the old paint has worn off to reveal the metal components below. So things like the radar dish and some
stuff like around the stairs and things on the landing pad. Pretty much up to you where you do it. Now I'm going to make full use of some liquid pigment, starting off with green skin soil. So this gives it a bit of a mossy effect in those recesses and just really helps work that green in there as well. I know we've got the green undercoat, but this is just to add a bit more variety there. And after that, I'm going to get some medium earth for a little dirt and dust. Again, you can use them straight from the pot as they are intended, or you can get some of the thinner and make it a bit thinner here and there. Having a mix actually looks a little bit more, well, realistic. So we've got our scenery up to a certain point. You could just leave it at that and play games with it. It's entirely up to you. If you don't have any of the liquid pigments, you can just find colours that are similar and then just really thin them down and run them to the cracks. Either works. I just like the liquid pigments because they flow better. So the next step is to use some weathering pencils. So first up with these weathering pencils, I'm going to get white, it's just called white, and I'm going to just apply some symbols. Now, when I was doing these symbols, I was looking for all sorts of like reference. In the end, I just found some cool Royal Crown Derby date stamps, and I thought, oh, these look like military building recognition markings. I'm just going to start doing those. So you can do a couple of things. You can have a nice point to your pencil and just draw it on, or you can dip it into a bit of water and then also draw it on like that. It can be a little bit hit and miss with the water on it, so you know, take your time, be a bit accurate, or just get a brush and apply a little bit of water to the tip so you got more control. After that, I'll just pick out some red sections using vivid orange. I know it's called vivid orange, but it looks more like red. So that's just for like little areas to do like some other symbols over the top of it. Now, I made a mistake here. I thought this would be a good idea. I'll put some white over that red, and it went a bit pink, and it was a terrible idea, so I just removed it and carried on with my life. Then for some dirty grime, I use some dark chipping for wood. That's the name, dark chipping for wood. This looks really oily, a little bit like typhus corrosion almost. So it's a really nice tone. So all you're going to do is just draw that down. You can use a brush if you want to, just to add a bit more streaks, but it's a really nice tone. So for some dirty rusty areas in those deeper recesses, I'm going to use streak and dirt. And again, you can just get a brush here, add a bit of water, and then just play around with it a bit more as well. So the last thing I'm going to do on this scenery is use a pencil called Buff. It's kind of a bit like the vampire flesh tone, so it ties in with that dry brushing we've already done. Now I'm going to do some really simple cheeky edge highlighting. Once it's fixed on, so you can like varnish it after, or you can just leave it to dry and it won't really rub off. All I was going to do here is just draw a line around any sections of panel. So on that landing pad that you can see here, I'm just running my pencil along it and it's edge highlighting both sides. It's mad, so don't get it to a super fine point, have it like a little bit more broader and just run the pencil along the line and you'll find it edge highlights it with a nice consistent line on both sides. And then when you get to the edges of like scenery and rivet, just rub the pencil on it as well, or you can dry brush back over with vampire flesh. Either works. It was just a really nice way of doing panels that were sitting quite close together, and I killed two birds with one stone, or pencil. With the undercoats and the dry brushes and the liquid pigments applied, I felt like it needed a little bit more, so I decided to pull out the old dirty down rust and start using that. So again, as I've done before on the other videos in the channel, is I pour a little bit into the lid, add a little bit of water and start applying that to the areas, and then just apply more water. And then if I want more neater, more concentrated rust effects, then I'll just get some straight neat from the pot, apply that in there, and then just hit it with a hairdryer on full blast to really get that heat going. And then as you can see, the effect just looks like rust. It's amazing. And there we are, as you can see, with a few adjustments to your scenery builds, which were minor, and just a few space considerations. You pretty much got a scenery set which you can put into a box and travel and battle. Or like a lot of folks, if space is a premium at home, it's just a really nice way of storing everything and keeping it nice compact, and there's always a little bit of extra room for more scenery down the line. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. I hope there's like some kind of stuff in there that's insightful. Like me as a biker, it's really useful because I can just put this in my top box, which is quite universal, so it fits the bill for anyone. Even if you have a car and you don't have much space in your boot because it's full of boots and I don't know, extra tyres that you need for you weird car drivers that drive all year round. I don't know. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you to Whaling Games for sponsoring this video as well. Much appreciated there. And of course, thank you to our patrons. You guys are amazing. You help keep this channel going. We're indebted to you and your support, so thank you very much. I'm off to play a game with Pat in a cafe, and they're going to have a shock of their life.